845, Varsity man up. It's game time, everybody stand up. From my town to yours, we ready for sure.
Justin Rodriguez here again with the Varsity 845 Football Podcast with my host, Kevin Gleason. Kevin, great to see you again.
Thank you, Justin. Good to be here as usual.
We have another great show lined up for you. What we're going to do here is we're going to look back at week one. It was an exciting week, of course. And then we have some special guests coming in to speak. We have Chris Houston, wide receiver from Middletown, and Coach Bill Donahue. And from Warwick, the big bad tight end, Dermot Egan, who happens to be a very nice guy. And then we'll look ahead at some of the big games this week. So looking back at last week, there are several games that come to mind. We're going to go over them real quick. I guess for starters, you have Valley Central 37, Pine Bush 34. Valley Central winning on that field goal as time expired. For me, what stood out for Valley Central is in warm-ups, they were running their offense, passing the ball, and I was like, man, this looks crisp. This looks good. It looks better than I've seen before. Of course, as you would know, you don't win a game in warm-ups, but it then did translate into the field of play there. So, and Pine Bush, they're a pretty confident team that obviously I think sets them back a little.
I just want to say one thing. This kid, Brett Jennings, that's the thing that jumped out at me in reading the story, reading the account of it, was that you have a teenager here who's getting ready to kick a game-winning kick. And he's getting, heckled from the Pine Bush side. And they iced him with a couple timeouts. This kid's just so unfazed, I wish I had seen that up close because that's pretty impressive. I mean, you have league arenas that have trouble with situations like that. I thought it was pretty neat just about how he was actually egging him on to give him a little bit more, heat. And before the kick, he's just bubbling with confidence, clearly, and then just kicked the game winner. I thought that was pretty neat.
It was only an 18-yarder, but that
Sure.
said, I agree with you. And like I said, he could have been iced, but he was basically, like I said in my story, he said, "Bring it," and he did a great job. He was 3 for 3 on the night. Speaking of kickers, you had Washingtonville 33, Middletown 28. Derek Dool, 4 field goals, now has 24 for his career, which breaks a state record, and he hit the Section 9 record, 52-yarder. For good measure, he banged a 54-yarder, and I talked to him the day after. He said on turf he was feeling good from 60. What do you think of this guy's leg?
This kid's unbelievable. I'm not sure the D1 school's lining up to talk to him, but it should be extensive, right? I mean, how much interest has he got?
He's got a little interest. He's got some Division I interest. Here's the deal with kickers, as you would know. It's not running back, a quarterback where you can be offered. If you're a blue chipper, they'll offer you as a sophomore. You can have many offers. He has some passing interest from Division I schools, and he might not even sign until after it. But I'm just going to say something right now. I'm going to call out the so-called old ball coach down in South Carolina, Steve Spurrier. I'm going to call out Urban Meyer. I'm going to call out Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian. You name the big-time coach. You got to come to Orange County and look at this kid. He is legit, and he's worthy of a Division I scholarship. Again, with kickers, sometimes they have to take a partial.
Sure.
Even some of the best have to walk on. But this guy's a leg.
Unbelievable. The best kicker that's ever been around here, I assume?
And the position...
We've had a few good ones in the past 10 years.
And the position continues to evolve here. We have Davis Brief at Warwick, who's been very solid. But yes, I would say right now he's the best kicker. And he has 4 field goals. The state record for a season the NISFA record is 12. So he's well on his way to breaking that record. And Don Clark, I have to give him credit because he's not afraid to use him. He'll roll him out at any time, rightfully so. And he's done a wonderful job. I guess an upset, we both like Marlboro handily. Wallkill beats them 31-21. Wallkill's a gritty team. Wallkill's a tough team. So we were wrong on that one. Marlboro, tough loss. They have New Paltz this week. What did you think of the Wallkill game? The sophomore quarterback obviously did a good job too.
Yeah, not only did they win that game by 10, but they were up big in that game, weren't they? Marlboro, in fact, came back to make that close, but it was 18-0 at one point, I think, and Wallkill is just so good year in and year out. With this kid at quarterback, you're talking about, him taking over for the, one of the Section 9 record holders, Pilataria quarterback, and they don't seem to have missed much of a beat here. Marlboro's as tough as they come, so Wallkill must be really, really good. Not having seen that game, but Wallkill must be really good.
And as I said last week, I think I made a mistake by not putting them in my preseason rankings, and obviously that was proven once again. On to another game, Minising 43, Port 13. The man, the myth, Joe Sessa, 3 rushing touchdowns, the lacrosse star, returns a punt. I thought this game would be a little closer, and with the Erie Bell week 2, I mean that's a tough start for Port. Obviously there are, I'm sure they'll improve, but Minising, they had so many injuries. I won't make the Yankees starting rotation reference again.
I was hoping you would.
But Minising, I thought they were really impressive. That's like I said, they were banged up. I think they got off to a 1-5 start, and they won some games at the end. But I think that was key for them.
No doubt about it. I was surprised too that was as wide a margin as it turned out to be. I mean, Sessa kid is an unbelievable athlete. Just watching him around the lacrosse field and things that he can do doesn't really surprise me that he's a really good football player as well. Port, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to bounce back from this. I think they do have some talent in that club, and I'm pretty confident that they're going to turn that around. But they just kind of ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw there.
Yeah, and I still think, as we discussed previously, that Port in that Division II in Class A, they will definitely be a factor. I think it's an up for grabs division. You have New Paltz, Goshen themselves, and Saugerties, I think, is kind of on the outside looking in, but you can't count them out. I think it's up for grabs. We move on to Monroe 35, Holy Cross nothing, a clinical performance once again. We'll always talk about the spread offense, but again, the defense was lights out. They had 6 sacks. I think they held Holy Cross to minus 15 rushing yards. It was just an impressive effort, and they move on to another Catholic school, Stepanak, who has a quarterback, Brandon Coleman, who's going to be going to Navy. But again, Monroe, they lost. Like I said, they have 1 returning player on each side of the line, but, credit to that team and the staff. Like I said, it was a surgical, it was precision like it was, of course, Monroe.
Yeah, it's funny that you just, we should never take Monroe Woodbury for granted as being great, because they've done so much to be good year in and year out, But we tend to do that because they're always so good and they're always so well run. But, again, this kid Ryan O'Malley making his first start, and running for 108 yards, throwing for 2 touchdowns, and they haven't really missed a beat. People talk about some of the really good players they lost, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them back in Syracuse. I really would.
And I talked to O'Malley, who is really comfortable, obviously, getting the ball to Jesse Kaffenberger as a wide receiver. He and Kevin Carr did a great job, so that's obviously a connection. And then we move on. Also Saturday, the other game I covered, I was at the BC game. Burke Catholic 29, Goshen 7. In a Battle of Goshen, there was a thunder delay, 30-minute delay. Burke only led about 8-0 early in the 4th. They put it away. I think Burke, they're going to run. It seems almost the offense was methodical. They have Prisbaki, who obviously is a stud. And I thought Justin Fenical at quarterback did a wonderful job. Just a tough kid, smart kid, just one of those guys, just who will do a wonderful job running the offense. Tough break for Goshen, but again, hey, listen, they're in Class A Division II, and they have Warwick this week, which is going to be another tough game. But hey, they have to look forward to that divisional game.
Yeah, it's not going to be a picnic for Goshen. They don't have any real softies on their schedule, and Burke's really flexed his muscles in this game. And his Prisbaki kid is really good. Does a little bit of everything, doesn't he? Defense too, and he's always piling up huge numbers. The kid obviously has a real good feel for running, finding the hole, real good awareness, good eyesight. So Burke's going to be good. And again, another first-year coaching effort. First game coaching effort from Mr. Ross.
Kevin Ross, the former Army offensive coordinator. I think the offense looked a little better than his days at Army. I'm kidding, of course, Kevin. And I go way back to when I covered the team. And thankfully for me, he has a good sense of humor. So congratulations to Coach Ross and has a lot of new faces on that staff. And then finally, the #1 ranked team in J-Rod's preseason rankings, mighty Newburgh, without Anthony DeBose suspended, loses Tyona Prep 27-14. Maybe a little bit of a wake-up call. I'm not too worried about Newburgh. DeBose, according to Coach Bianco, said the jury is still out if DeBose will start Saturday against Holy Cross. I hope there's no tampering with that jury. So that's Holy Cross is obviously Monroe beat them, and I think they have Forbes and Dennis, and they should be okay. Yeah. Newburgh will be fine. I think I just hopefully DeBose can can get his, dare I say, act together, just because he's got so much talent and he's a nice kid. So I wish him the best, but I don't think you're alarmed by that loss.
No, and I don't think it's really that detrimental a loss for him either. Season open non-leaguer. They're going to get a real good scouting report on Holy Cross, I assume. Monroe Woodbury haven't done what it just did to him. I think they're going to be okay. Newburgh's going to be fine. I just, like you said, I'd like to see DeBose get back on the field. Assuming he didn't do anything too egregious.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think it was, Coach Bianco. He's got a lot of character. Has done a wonderful job with that program. So I think it's something he called it team rules. Again, if it was something terrible, I can tell you this: he would be off the team. It's probably something with maybe schoolwork or something like that. So we're going to move on. We're going to come right back, and we're going to have our guests. We're going to have from Warwick, tight end Dermot Egan, Middletown football coach Bill Donahue, and one of his players, Chris Houston. Of course, Middletown in the Erie Bell game against rival Port, and Warwick will take on Goshen in the Spirit Trophy game. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back with the Varsity 845 football podcast. Joining us is Middletown coach Billy Donahue and wide receiver / linebacker Chris Houston. Of course, Friday, as the kids would say, it's going down. Middletown versus Port in the Erie Bell game. So just to start with you, Chris, just tell me, how excited are you about this game, especially considering obviously Port Jervis did beat you last season 14-7 at Port.
Oh, well, I'm very excited. It's at our home field. We're going to have the crowd behind us. People know how important the game is. We just got to come ready to play.
And for you, Coach, just tell me, obviously a former Midi yourself, you've played in the game. Just tell me, the last few years, the game, it was on Thanksgiving. 2 years then, last year was kind of towards the end of the season. Now it's week 2. Any way you slice it, it's a great game. How do you feel coming off of week 1?
We're really excited about the game. I mean, it kind of is a self-motivating game. It's nice in that sense. All the history and the tradition and everything. And, for us, we have a little added incentive. We had to all stand on that field and watch Port Jervis take our bell. And, we know what that feels like, and that gives us a little extra oomph going into that game. So we're really excited.
I was curious, guys, just wondering how much of the game changes when it's not on Thanksgiving. A couple years ago, I know we talked about this, Billy, just about how different the dynamic can be. A Thanksgiving game seems like it had such tradition. Does it still have all the oomph that it always had? You know
what? I'll be completely honest. I mean, when you put it on Thanksgiving, it's a standalone game. You get just a lot of fanfare. They're only show in town, other than those teams playing for the state championships. I'm not always. We've been in the situation in the past where it's early in the season, and there's positives and negatives and wherever it is. But I always prefer. The Thanksgiving game was great. It's just a long month, of preparation, and that's hard for high school kids. You have other sports starting. The day itself was great the month beforehand, and I think Port Jervis, some of the coaches on there would probably agree with that statement. It was just a lot for that month. I'd like to see it like Game 8, kind of like they do in college, where they play their rivalry games at the end of the season. I think that's, play it right before you play the playoffs or the crossover game. I'd ultimately like to see it there. Week 2, it's a little like you get back in the swing of school and everything like that. And like I said, no matter when you play it, it's exciting. But I think it has a little more significance when you put it a little towards the end of the season. You have all season to kind of look forward to it. So,
Chris, you have any thoughts on that? Thanksgiving,
Just
any day?
Along with what he said, I'd rather it be like the 8th game of the season, all that stuff, instead of waiting that whole month without going for a game. I just like it better if it was like the 8th game or something like that.
It's real early on in the preparation week. I mean, what is school like? Are people talking about it already? Is that one of those games that maybe people talk about a little bit more than typical game?
Well, yeah, it's hyped up.
Already.
It's been around for quite some time, so the people want that bell, and we're the ones out there trying to fight for it, and we just got to give them what they want.
Okay, and for you, Coach, unfortunately, you said you didn't listen last week to the show. We're going to give you a free pass on that one. I know you'll be tuning in this week.
We made him come in for that reason because he didn't listen.
So, spread the word. We did talk about your team. We did speak positive. We did say last week we felt Washingtonville was a must-win. That's a compliment because I know you had high expectations.
Yeah.
Now, with you sitting across the table, I might change my tune here. I'm kidding, of course. Like I said, that was a compliment.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that Washingtonville game? Because we felt just because of the expectations, it was a must-win to show Middletown's for real. That said, I don't think it was a disappointment because you played a very good team, tough. You were right there. You could have won the game. How do you feel about coming off that Washingtonville game?
I've had several thoughts. I mean, ultimately it was a must-win game for us because we ultimately want to be in that conversation when like you just said, you played a good team, tough. Well, I mean, we want to be that team when other teams say it to us. Washingtonville was a very solid team. We knew that. They were a good team. That kicker, boy. Enough said on that. I mean, that guy's NFL caliber and unbelievable. Never seen a guy like that in high school. But it wasn't they played a mistake-free game. Testament to them. They came out. They executed. We made some mistakes. The season isn't lost by any stretch. We would have definitely liked to have that win, and there were a lot of positives coming out of that. Compare our offensive production to last year. Our quarterback threw for 300 yards. Gillespie had 160 yards. We had 3 receivers with touchdowns, which is kind of the design of the offense. So that was a positive. I liked the way the defense played. We were out in the field a little too much because of turnovers. We got to improve special teams play, things like that. So, must win. We want to win every game we play. That's absolutely where we want to be. And we want to actually, we're tired of being, the guys at the bottom. And, we've got, that's why it was such a big game for us. But, we got 8 games left. We got a big game this week. We're only looking 1 game ahead. So, it's kind of where we're at.
And Chris, your perspective, again, it was a great game. There's always adjustments to make week 1 to week 2 as a player. You're out there on the field. Where do you see this Middletown team going, coming off that week and going forward?
Though it was a loss, I mean, we still played somewhat all right. We just got to limit the mistakes we made on offense because we kept giving them the ball back with good field position. Our defense was holding up pretty good. That kicker, like you said, he's pretty good. But we just got to limit the mistakes. It was a loss, but it doesn't depend on our season on how it's going to go. We just got to come back week at a time.
One last thing, and I'll pass it over to Kevin, is you brought up the kicker, Derek Jewell, also a punter. So they have special teams covered because with his leg, they're really going to control the field position too. Oh, so obviously he's a legit weapon. So that's another point to be made. You're probably not going to face someone like that again. And when you think of impact players, you think of running backs, quarterbacks.
Not in high school anyway.
But a punter, kicker, he legitimately is an impact player. So
yeah, like when you guys came in, I was speaking kind of positively about the week because I thought you guys would be a little more cheery about it. So I think it says a lot about your expectations because you're just not going to run into like Tom Dempsey, a high school kicker who kicks all these. I mean, anyone else you win that game. If they don't have a kicker, if they have a kicker who's only a decent kicker, you're winning that game. So I know as a coach, I know how coaches look at things. There's no accepting losing. But I'm sure, like you said, Coach, you take a lot of positives out of that going into Portland.
Sure, but we don't. We're done with accepting losing. I mean, I've been in this position for too long, and these kids have worked too hard to And I understand, and I appreciate positive feedback and things like that, and guys saying you played hard. I've heard it too long.
Yeah.
We have to turn the corner. There's no reason we're not, and it's really just. It's eliminating mistakes, but I'm still very confident in the team we have.
You have the personnel to do it.
We have the personnel, we have the scheme, we have the coaching, we have the players, we have the mindset most importantly. That's something when I took this position, and others that came before me, it's a very difficult thing about the position is, and you can talk to other coaches in the section, the game plan on Middletown is get up by 2 scores, heads go down, you win. And that has been, and this team, if you were at that game, and that's what I was very pleased with as well, they didn't put their heads down. They refused. They made it a game right to the last play. And, when you can play consistently for 4 quarters, regardless of, what the score is or whatever else, that's going to win you more games than then you're going to lose and eliminate mistakes.
Sounds like this team has a great mindset then. I mean, they're going to win a lot of these games that are 50-50 games that comes down to being a little tougher, maybe. They're going to win those games.
It's again, we got to eliminate mistakes. That's a big one. Make sure we have the right personnel in the field. So, just silly things like that, stuff you try to minimize in week one. But yeah, I don't make bold proclamations. I never have and never will. Our goal is to go 1-0 every week. We're going to prepare, to do that every week. We're going to, practice that way, and we're going to get in the game and think positive. I was just, very happy. Something we've been lacking in Middletown is that mindset and the leadership, and both things are present in this team. So.
But lastly, for me, it sounds like a sense of urgency is this is the year. This is the year when Middletown has to turn that corner a little bit in terms of not only wins, but just knowing that, believing that you can win every game on a schedule, and maybe knocking off a few people you're not supposed to be.
I mean, it's kind of an artificially imposed deadline on my part.
Yes.
We have to win. I mean, but for the seniors, which I have, over 20 of them, it's definitely a must-win for them. These guys have invested, their whole careers. They played Middletown football, obviously, for the most part. And a lot of times, they didn't always see success. So for them to really invest in everything, we're all just kind of at the point that it's time. We know we're doing the right things. We know we have the right kids. We just have to be able to put it all together. That's where we're at right now. We're done being, Middletown could be good or this and that. We're done being, whatever that name or that stigma or anything that was attached to it. We're done with that. We just have to, put it together. Like I said, I'm not big on talking. I'm not going to sit here and tell you whatever. We have to ultimately put it together in the field, and the record will speak for itself either way. We just choose to think that hopefully it'll, things go right. It's going to be the outcome we want. So.
Okay, I'll wrap up with a question for each of you, just to start with you. Chris, what's it going to be like when you walk out of that tunnel? Friday night, jam-packed, I'm sure 3,000-4,000 fans. A beautiful night for football. Just tell me what's it going to be like, and what do you think you need to do to win?
I think I need to leave it all on the field. With me and my team, we just need to do what we have to do to come out with the victory, limit our mistakes, play lights out on defense. We just got to do what we need to do, bring home the bell.
What is that feeling like when you walk out? Can you kind of communicate that? Like, is there a sense of nervousness, butterflies, just as amazing?
You're in the tunnel. You hear all the stadium going crazy. The beats on the benches. It's butterflies in your stomach, and you get that first hit of the game, and it's all gone from there.
It's good stuff. Those are those things that you want to hold on to forever. As you get older, you don't want to forget those feelings.
And Coach, for you, what do you think your team needs to do, to accomplish, to win this game? What are some of the keys?
I'd like to. Obviously, I've said it, throughout this podcast. We have to eliminate mistakes. We got to be sound on all facets of special teams. I'd like to see us work to establish more of a run game, and that's consistent with eliminating mistakes and working the field position game. Maybe work just try to establish some more drives, basically. Get some more of that time of possession. I think Washington will definitely, in the first half last week, really ate up that clock and kept us off offense. So we definitely want to establish some time of possession. And defensively, we want to do what we kind of have done for the last 4 years. Defensively in Middletown have been pretty happy with how we played for the most part. Just stay sound in our scheme and be aggressive and hopefully increase the takeaway ratio, have that up there, and that's kind of what we're looking to do. Play complete 4 quarters. All right.
Well, Coach and Chris, we appreciate you coming in, and we wish you and your rival Port Jervis the best of luck on Friday night. Thanks for sitting and chatting with us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we're back with the Varsity 845 podcast. Our guest from Warwick, tight end, Dermot Egan. Kevin, take a look at this guy. Wouldn't you like to throw this guy?
Being an old high school quarterback, I didn't have any targets like this, nor did I have anybody blocking for me. So it was a two-pronged problem in my high school. But
thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Good to have you. Thank you. Appreciate making the trip.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course, Dermot also a star basketball player, good for a double-double every game for Warwick the past few years. So Dermot, you know what? I ran into Dermot Friday night. He took in that Valley Central Pine Bush game, a great game.
Nice.
So obviously he's a great athlete. I was filing my story, of course, blowing deadline at the McDonald's there in Montgomery, and Dermot comes in with some of his friends, and we got this athlete. He's in there pre-game meal. They had St. Francis the night after that. He's in there eating McDonald's as a pre-game meal. Tell me what's going on with that.
We had to get something to eat. We were starving. Came right from practice, went over to the game. It was a long game too, but that was a great game. That VC Pine Bush game.
Do you guys do that a lot, like go to other games and stuff and get a chance? Or, I mean, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, if we have a chance to, because like we played on Saturday, so you can't really, you gotta like get to bed at a good hour. So
right.
Figure on Friday, go in, watch some football.
Gotta get that happy meal out of the way by around midnight.
Oh
anyway.
yeah, definitely.
What did you put down at McDonald's? I figured if you could probably do some damage. What was on the? What did you order?
Oh, just McChickens and some fries and a drink.
That was plural. Chickens.
Yeah.
Chickens.
$1 a pop, isn't that?
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
It's a good deal.
I just had an iced tea there because I can't afford, unlike you, I can't afford to eat that type of food, unfortunately. So what did you think of that Valley Central Pine Bush game? Because obviously Valley Central's in your division, and I really think it's going to be a great competitive division. What did you think? Valley Central, an improved team. They were very good. Obviously, you guys played them last year down to the last play. You beat them and knocked them out of the playoffs. What did you think of VC?
Oh, it was a great game. VC, they can really throw it. They got some guys catching the ball, and their quarterback's pretty good. So it was a great game though. Pine Bush is big up front, and they played them tough.
Yeah, I think VC opened some eyes with that one. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you beat a Pine Bush team. It's always a good Pine Bush team. And VC, it looks like they have some weapons.
Definitely.
You beat St. Francis last week, 28-7. I know you lost a lot of players, graduating seniors. What did you think? It looked like a solid effort to me. Brendan Bauer did a nice job. Defense let up only 7 points. It seemed like a solid effort all around. What did you see from the team?
I liked our energy a lot. Came out, usually first game we come out a little bit sluggish sometimes, but we came out a lot of energy, a lot of attitude. Came out and really, I think, pushed them around a little bit. I think the score was a little closer than you would think, but we pushed them around a little bit and we got to them.
Like going into that game, you scouting St. Francis, what was the mindset? It's going to be a really tough game, close game? Or are you guys thinking if we play our game, we're going to win?
Yeah, definitely. We scouted them a lot. Our coaches went down and saw them scrimmage, and we knew they were going to be big and physical, running that full house. So we had to be ready for it, and they were big up front, but we played well. Our defense played strong.
Sounds it, yeah.
You got the Spirit Trophy game this weekend, Friday night hosting Goshen. Really old-time rivalry, and we talked on the phone about it last night. Just tell me about that game. You brought up, the old-timers who are going to come out, and to them, that's still the biggest game. Now we have, obviously, the Section 9 championship. You have your division, but I know to them, that is the game. What are your expectations for that game?
It's going to be a good game. Goshen always comes in and puts up a fight no matter what. They always play us hard. Spirit Trophy's a big game, and it's going to be nice to play in front of all the old-timers coming back and watching the game, though. It's good.
That's what's great about these high school rivalries. You get these teams that have been playing for, what's that now, like 90 years, 100 years?
1896 was the first.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You get that. Now we get, on the same weekend, we get Port Middletown. It's probably really neat. I mean, do you hear from those people in town or the old-timer? I mean, do you get the feeling that those people it's really important to them?
Yeah, it is. It's big to them because that was always the game when they were playing at Warwick, and most of our coaches are Warwick guys. They grew up and played for Warwick, and they've been through the rivalry. So it's definitely a big game for us.
I bet. Coming off a win, and Goshen's coming off a loss. Does that kind of fuel you guys a little more to make sure that you don't take them, don't get a little too high on yourselves or anything, knowing that they're going to come back probably even stronger?
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to give us a fight no matter what happens. So we just got to make sure we can't take them lightly because they put up a fight against Burke too. I think that score was, it didn't really tell how close that game really was. That was a tight game, and yeah, I'm excited for it though. If we come up with the same energy and attitude we did, I think we should be all right.
There was a few years ago when Goshen, they weren't competitive, and they weren't competing, and they actually delayed the Spirit Trophy for
I think it was a year or two.
For a year or two, they basically canceled the game or postponed the game. But it seems like that program now is on the upswing. They're getting things together. Coaching's getting better. Everything's kind of getting better. Do you guys sense that too, knowing some of those kids and all that? These kids are for real. These kids are gonna win some games.
Oh no, yeah, they're athletes over there. We watch them on film, and they can play, and we're gonna be ready though. We'll scout them up. We'll we'll watch them. I think we'll be ready.
Compared to past Warwick teams, in terms of work ethic, everything, what is it about this team that kind of stands out? What have you noticed? You mentioned early on, kind of the focus, the mindset. That
Yeah,
you guys
I think the attitude and the energy helps a lot. Coach Chatham over from Newburgh, and then he was at Cornwall last year. He brought over winning attitude. He was a great coach over there, and he's an awesome coach. We love him.
It's a great addition, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great coach, and he brings a lot of attitude, a lot of energy. So we get excited to play.
He sure does. He's kind of a fiery guy, isn't he, Justin?
To say the least.
We've had some experience with Coach.
And he did a wonderful job at
Yeah, he did a
Newburgh.
tremendous job.
Very passionate about the game in Section 9 football.
Gotta love it.
And Newburgh, and I'm sure Warwick now. So 9 in a row for Warwick. So obviously you want to keep that streak going. Did Coach Sirico prep you before you came on here?
No, he didn't.
I'm surprised.
He hasn't coached you up for your podcast?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He just said,
He's another great. Obviously, he's another great ambassador for Section 9 football. So 9 in a row, and I think it's something like 15 of the last 16. So obviously, you want to keep that streak
yeah,
going.
we want to keep it in Warwick. I think that's where it belongs. So we want to come out and play hard and keep it in Warwick.
Okay, another question. Then we're gonna let you go. Is obviously you're very good at basketball. You played on the BCANY team, proudly wearing the shirt. And obviously you're a foot tight end. You have all the attributes. What are you thinking for college? What are your plans? And do you have any schools interested at this time?
I have some schools interested, but I think the big thing is just the best fit for me. Whether it's football or basketball, wherever I fit in and I really feel comfortable is where I'm going to go.
What do you think? Like, do you have a favorite sport? Which one do you prefer? If you had a choice between,
it's tough. I mean, basketball is always my first love, so I'd probably say basketball. But I love football. There's nothing better than Friday night games under the lights. So,
do you think you might be able to play at a higher level, football wise too, with your size and all that? So, there's 1,000,006.5 Division I players out there. I mean, do you think maybe that might is that a consideration too?
Yeah, I've definitely given it thought. If the right fit comes around, I have no problem at all playing football. I mean, I love both sports, so whatever's a better fit for me, that's where I'm going to go.
Anybody come out yet? Make any offers or just
no offers?
Passing interest?
Fordham's shown some interest. Marist, Bucknell, Colgate, a bunch of Patriot League schools, and that's football. So
sounds like you hit the books a little bit if they're interested, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Got to stay in your schoolwork.
Good stuff, and I'm sure your family wouldn't mind you going to a school like Marist where they could watch you play.
It's close. They can come up and see some games. That'd be pretty nice.
This kind of a Section 9 launching pad at Marist.
Yeah, they've done a nice job in recent years. The latest was obviously Mike White from Cornwall. You had Matt Poveramo from Washingtonville.
From VC.
Zach Adler. I don't believe that Matt's still playing, but Marist, beautiful campus. You can't go wrong with that school. It's really a nice campus. So
yeah, for sure. And the program seems to be on a bit of the upswing. Last year they had a big year. They lost,
they're 0-2 this year, Kevin.
Lost a couple early on, but no, they're coming
Just
off.
kidding.
They're coming off a big season, and I'm sure Mikey White will in another year or two take over that starting position.
Oh, well, you never know. Maybe he'll be throwing a few passes to Dermot. So
that'd be a nice connection. Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, anyway, Dermot, it was nice having you. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
coming
much
in,
for having me. I
and
appreciate
we
it.
wish you the best of luck this weekend, and of course the rest of the season. Hopefully, we'll talk to you again.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Dermot. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Justin Rodriguez here, back again with the Varsity 845 podcast. We had some great guests. It was good speaking with Dermot, Chris Houston, and of course Coach Donahue. But now we're going to wrap up with a look at the big games coming up this week. Of course, we'll make some crack predictions that will, of course, probably go bad, but we'll give it a shot.
What were we last week, by the way? Do you keep track of that?
I had for my picks last week. I think I was like. There were 22 games. The Readers went 11-11.
Really?
And I think I was like, what would that be? So I was 14-8. For the first week, it isn't good.
Bit of a crapshoot, though.
It wasn't very good, but it could have
Usually,
been
yeah.
worse. It could have been the fateful year, probably about 3 years ago when I started the year. 8 games behind the Reader. But now, like I said, Reader, I'm up 3 games on you. Reader, I'm coming for you. And I will distance myself in week 2. First game, tough game, is VC at Walk Hill, both coming off great wins. I mean, this could be Pine Bush.
Great game.
This could be Pine Bush VC all over again. So I'm gonna take Valley Central in this game. And again, for Walk-Hill, if you're Walk-Hill, do a cartwheel, because we know basically almost every time I pick against Walk-Hill, they're going to win, unless, there's been some Cornwall games that I obviously have picked Cornwall. But like I said, that's a coin flip. Anything goes. It's going to be a great game, and I'm shocked if it's decided by anything more than a touchdown. I'm going to go with VC. I really liked. They had a lot of wide receivers, and I like one guy I didn't get to mention yet was Isaiah Boissard. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing him. He played with Dermott,
basketball player,
on the B Canny team over the summer, and he was the star. He was the LeBron James of the tournament. And I saw him in warm-ups, and I said, "Oh, look at him!" And he caught two balls. So I'm going to go with VC. How do you feel?
I like Walk-Hill. I just have a feeling that Walk-Hill's going to find a way. I know VC is just coming off such an emotional win. It is. It's a toss-up. I'm just going to go with Walk-Hill. I just have a feeling Walk-Hill's going to find a way there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to take VC, but I certainly can't argue Walk-Hill. We have the Erie Bell game, Port at Middletown. I really do think Middletown is definitely progressing, and they really have some weapons. I still really like Port's toughness. And I think what I like also about Port is they have so many of those players still have family and uncles and grandfathers and brothers who have played in that game. So I think they're just naturally a little more passionate. Not to put Middletown down, they have some more transplants. And Port, they just play so tough. But I think Middletown, with their speed and their athletes, I'm going to take Middletown in that game.
It's a great matchup for so many reasons, starting with the Erie Bell, but, continuing on the fact that they're both coming off losses. They're both going to be, emotionally crazy over this game. And I really, really like Middletown's chances in this. I just think that they're not going to admit to it, but I think they had a pretty good showing against Washingtonville.
Yeah, I agree.
Even in losing, sounds like they if they played their game, they might have won that game. And again, they didn't face the kicker who has the vast skills that Duel has. So I'm going to pick Middletown, but Port's going to be right there. I think this is going to be a tremendous game.
I think another tremendous game. You have Minnesink at Pine Bush. 2 years ago, they met in the Class AA semifinals. Pine Bush won on their way to the Section 9 championship. I think Minnesink has a big bad boy line. So does Pine Bush. I'm going to take Minnesink. I like Sessa in the backfield. I also like another running back, Deontay Moore. I think this is going to be a tough game. I think Pine Bush is not going to be happy after last year's loss. And quite frankly, I think it's a wake-up call because, like I said, they went up 7-0 on VC on a pick six. They were up 14-0. I think they were ready to pack it up for Disneyland. And they obviously were shocked. I think Pine Bush is going to come back strong. But I'm going to take Minnesink. Like I said, another toss-up battle of a game.
Great game, and again, I also think Pine Bush is going to play a really good game. They're just really well schooled over there. They're really good coaching staff over there. But so does Minnesink, of course, and I'm certainly not going to diss my home school district in this one.
Well, you did diss Kevin Gallagher last
Not that there's any bias
you did
whatsoever.
call him out.
Kevin knows as well as anyone that I would never have a bad word to say about him.
I know.
However,
I
I think this is going to be a game that Pine Bush, I don't know, I just have a feeling that Pine Bush is going to find a way to win this game. It's just a hunch. Minnesink, with Sessa, this kid's unbelievable. He's gonna be awful hard to stop. So I'm gonna say Pine Bush by a field goal, and Kevin has my cell phone number. You feel free to call me up and start yelling at me about that. But just a weird feeling, could be wrong.
Well, then you have the Spirit Trophy game, Goshen at Warwick. I'm going to take Warwick in that game. I just think Goshen is maybe a little overmatched. Again, tough game against Burke. You have Warwick, but again, the big picture is Class A, Division II, wide open with Port, New Paltz, Saugerty. So there is no shame in this loss. They got to stay healthy, and hey, maybe they will take it to them. But I do like Warwick in this game.
Yeah, it's hard not to go with Warwick. It really is. Goshen would have to play its AAA game to win this game.
And then just to Saturday, you have Monroe playing Powerful at Powerful. Stepinac, Bernie Connolly, his alma mater. They trounced Stepinac 2 years ago, 35-7. Stepanek has a few kids with two D-backs with, I think, one AA interest. The quarterback, as we mentioned earlier, is going to Navy. I'm going to take Monroe in that game. And then we have Burke Chester. They always play tough games. And then Cornwall is going to host Cardinal Hayes coming off that big win over Amsterdam. And Cardinal Hayes is a city power. And then you have Newburgh looking to rebound after the Iona Prep incident last week. They will host Holy Cross. So, Kevin, it should be another great week of football in the 845 and beyond.
It really should be. A couple of games that teams that we didn't mention, that had good opening weekends. Monticello beating Ellenville, and Monticello looking to rebound big time.
Great job, Eric Hipsman. Very good job.
Eric Hipsman making his debut with a huge win over Ellenville. I mean, a handily win. It was a 39-0. And Cornwall, I mean, just annihilating Section 2 Amsterdam. I don't know exactly what the Rams of Amsterdam have this year, but I know traditionally it's a really, really good program west of Albany. And so that's an eye-opener right there. Mike Conley did in his debut as a head coach.
They were ready.
We had a lot of great first game efforts by coaches. Rory Boyce and Wallkill, Mike Conley, Eric Hipsman. It's really good to see these guys taking over programs and knowing that the programs are in really good hands.
Yep, there was, like I said, it'll be another great weekend of football. This is Justin Rodriguez with Kevin Gleason. We're going to sign off for the podcast. Varsity 845, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week. It's been a lot of fun.